up, everybody? Welcome back to what is going to be a Wolfpack Entertainment movie review. I'm the Wolf.
I'm the Wingman.
And I don't know what we're going to review, so that everything that comes off my brain is fresh and clear. So, Wingman, fill me in. What are we reviewing today?
An old classic. I believe it was in the 80s, mid-80s.
Okay.
86 to be exact. Flight of the Navigator.
Oh, yes. Disney film, Flight of the Navigator. I love that movie.
It was actually released on August 1st, 1986.
Wow, we're old. We're so old. So what's the premise of, if anybody's not seen it before or they've forgotten since it's been so long, what is Flight of the Navigator about?
Well, it basically is about a boy. His name is David Scott Freeman, 12 years old. He's actually taken by an alien spacecraft. And I believe the planet that he's taken to is Phalon or something like that.
Yeah, I think Phalon is the name, yeah.
Ironically, it's on July 4th. With all the fireworks and stuff like that.
What year was he taken?
1978. Which I find interesting because that's actually the year I was born.
And you know what else happened that year? The greatest thing ever. Superman the movie came out. The original Christopher Reeve film. So
and the thing is, David is not brought back until 8 years later.
Yeah, 8 years later. Yep. But he hasn't aged.
Exactly.
He has not aged.
Everyone else has.
Yeah.
But not him.
Light speed theory.
More or less, yeah. I think that's actually
I think they talked about it.
Yeah,
we talked about light speed theory. We're getting ahead of ourselves because now that we're talking about it, now I'm thinking about it. Wingman, how many times you said you watched this recently, just to get ready for this?
I'd say at least 8.
I haven't probably watched it in at least a year or more, but my kids watched it.
Yeah, I'd say 8 times in like a month.
Oh, nice! Yeah. So he's got it fresh in his mind. Very
fresh.
I want to do it this way because I want to just play off of as stuff pops into my brain and be random with it. The movie, when it starts out 4th of July, 78, it's got a lot of foreshadowing in the very first opening scenes of the movie with the spaceship and
this is all during a frisbee dog competition that's going on.
Yeah. I find that, I was telling him, I find that there's a lot of funny parts in it because it's a family movie. It's got funny stuff, but it's got some serious stuff and different things. But the funniest thing in the movie is that opening scene because it's all serious and there's like this epic music playing and it's these freaking dogs jumping and grabbing frisbees, and I don't know why, but even to this day, like, it cracks me up every time I see these dogs.
And you mentioned foreshadowing, and in fact, that very first disc that's spinning in the air is actually silverish.
Yeah,
it's metallic silver.
Yeah, absolutely. So just kind of explain to them where it goes from there, how that kind of happens, as far as like they start out with the dogs and then the family goes home and then kind of.
And of course, the two, you got David and he's got a younger brother.
Yeah.
So David's 12, he's got a younger brother at 8. Okay,
it's gonna be
fellow guys. You know what we were like when we were 8 years old, right? If you had another sibling, older sibling, more likely.
Yeah.
We were just kind of obnoxious, always start fights or whatnot, and then claiming innocence or whatever. His little brother is no different. His little brother's name is Jeff, and immediately just bam, 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 one after another.
I would probably have punched Jeff. I think I would have punched. I was the oldest sibling, so I can identify with David's consternation.
In fact, there's a point in the opening sequence where, after the frisbee sequence, where David has been sent by their parents to go meet up with his brother Jeff.
Yeah.
Through some woods. And you get to a point, David hears a sound and he's saying, "Get back, Jack, I got a gun."
Yeah, get back, Jack, I got a gun.
What 12-year-old has a gun back in the 80s?
Was he carrying did he have a stick at that point? Wasn't he like trying to carry on a stick?
No, he said the line first, and then he picked up a big old branch.
That's right, yeah.
I'd say about 2 foot long or something like that. Like a few minutes later, Jeff jumps out of a tree.
Yeah.
Does the typical, scrunches up his
stupid face. Scares him.
Meets back up with Jeff in the future.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, David does not age.
Yeah.
Everyone else did.
Yeah.
There's a point where David's at the hospital, and the whole family's there, and he meets Jeff again.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeff brings up the fact that he jumped out of a tree and scared him.
Yeah.
To which David responds with, "Anyone could know that." And I'm thinking, no.
All those people in the world.
There's only 2 people in the world that can actually know that bit of information.
Yeah.
David and Jeff. That's it.
I love the part when he jumps out of the tree and scares him, and then he's tough. He's gonna go kill him. He's like, "I'll kill you," and but then he ends up falling down in this ravine.
Only because his dog kind of got his attention to something else other than Jeff.
Yeah, he falls down in this ravine, and then he wakes up.
Seemingly,
seemingly minutes later, but then it's
it was like a second.
Yeah.
Screen time is like a second or 2.
Yeah.
Nothing has changed, so you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
Unless you're very alert.
Which is, like you can see, what would have been cool, like they didn't really do it, but if they would have changed the terrain on him, so when he woke up, like the terrain, but I get it for the storytelling purpose of the movie, that he was supposed to not know what was going on. So then he goes home to his home that's not his home anymore, and there's like this old couple living there, and he just starts running through their house, and they call the cops, and then they run the background check, and they find the missing persons poster, and they find out this kid is not aged, and he supposedly disappeared 8 years later, and
has a blue shirt.
Wearing the same. He's wearing
red,
the
white
same
stripes.
Yeah, wearing the same.
Carrying a blue
attire.
backpack.
Yeah. And then
why was he even carrying the backpack?
I don't know. Like we were talking about that. He's like carting this backpack around
everywhere he goes.
Backpack. I don't know what's in there. I told him. I said it must have been a stash. Like he was hiding a stash in there. I don't know why he was carrying this backpacker. Then they take him to the police station, right? And then they take him to his parents' new house. And then when he sees his mom and dad as being old and stuff, he just he passes out.
Yeah, he faints.
And then they're in the they're in the hospital, and you start unraveling the story, and it doesn't make sense. Like how could he?
They hook him up to mind stuff and everything.
And they're doing like that. They're doing the test on his brain, and it ends up printing out the picture of
the spaceship.
Which I want to talk about the spaceship real quick. Just the spaceship is like the coolest thing. Like
it is.
Not really just the character, but like the actual effect of the spaceship is the coolest thing in the movie, because it looks. I mean, this movie's made in the 80s, and it looks. It's practical effects mainly, and it looks as good as anything else that's out today. It's better than the special effects in The Flash. If you've seen The Flash, it's really
I know what
good.
some people out there are thinking. The ship has a personality? Yes. The ship does in fact have a personality.
Yeah. It starts to call to David. So I guess we should catch him up. They go from the hospital. Guys from NASA get pictures of what printed from David's brain, which was the
spaceship.
And they had found this spaceship crashed. And so they have it, NASA guys have it, and then they get the photos.
The ship was checking out some daisies.
Daisies, yeah. When I was a kid, this is funny. So when I watched that, when I first heard him say that he was checking out some daisies, my instant thought was he was checking out chicks, not flowers.
Which is probably what I would have been doing.
But so they have this ship, and then they tie it to David, and they're like, "Oh, we got to take this kid and monitor his brain and figure out what's going on." So they take him to NASA, this secret, probably Area 51.
They say that it's only going to take 48 hours to unravel the mystery.
Mm-hmm.
We all know it's bogus.
Yes, as usual, the government lies. I mean, what a surprise!
NASA in this movie acts like the worst version of the federal government.
Oh yeah,
especially when it comes to aliens and alien spacecraft.
Yeah, it's so ridiculous. they have him locked down. They're going to keep him for longer than he's supposed to be there when they told him he was going to leave. So he befriends like this. I don't know if she's an intern or what.
She's an intern.
She's an intern on the base, and it's Sarah Jessica Parker. It was one of her first movies, but also
that was actually her fifth.
The fifth one. But it was one of the more like recognizable ones that she's in. Like anyway, like as
Carolyn McAdams.
Carolyn McAdams, yeah.
And she has this robotic assistant to help her with her chores on the base.
AI before AI.
Robotic assistant labor facilitator, also known as Ralph.
Come on, Ralphie, baby. I think of Ralph kind of reminds me of like a crappy R2-D2. The way he like moves around and stuff.
Yeah, it's almost like he's got a mind of his own.
Yeah.
But we already know, after we actually watched it, that the ship actually is controlling
Ralph. So David just keeps hearing the ship call to him, basically.
He doesn't understand the language.
He doesn't understand, So
or at least we hear it.
Yeah.
We hear what he's hearing, but we don't understand what is being said.
He ends up getting inside. Ralph can like cart mail and food and stuff. He's got an open compartment inside of him.
And it kind of opens up like a DeLorean.
Yeah. So he gets inside of Ralph, and the ship takes Ralph to the ship.
Yeah.
And then finally opens up. And that, we were talking about that. The effect of the opening of the ship is like the coolest thing ever, because it like liquefies the opening, and then it puts steps down, and they look like they're hovering. Yeah. It looks like it's really.
They do kind of wiggle a little bit.
Yeah.
There's actually a scene.
Yeah.
And this is what kind of threw me for a loop later on when I started researching it. But there's a scene where David and the ship stop in somewhere in Florida, and because he's trying to find his way to Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah.
And it's Big Al's Gator Ranch. Okay. So he stops. You don't hear the ding ding of the gas station until the steps liquefy and hit the ground. Then you hear it. And that's when Big Al kind of turns, and he's just like.
He just stands there like completely mesmerized by it. He said he just wanted to phone home.
I don't even think we see him blink.
I don't think so. The only time when he talks, he says he just wanted to phone home. He gives him change. So
and this is what he said to some tourists.
Yeah.
Well, the dad of the tourist. Now, this is the actual weird thing, or ironic thing. Well, the tourist family, it's a mom, a dad, a daughter, and a son. Mm-hmm. Now, the son actually says to the dad, "Dad, can we look at the flying saucer?" For the longest time, I thought this was Jamie Lawson from Small Wonder. I was wrong.
I totally forgot about that show until he brought that up. Small Wonder. The dad's like, they don't have insurance in these kind of places.
Something like that.
They don't have insurance in these kind of places. The whole process of him getting in the ship, and most of the movie we see, is then him interacting with the artificial intelligence, or whether it's artificial intelligence or actual intelligence, I don't know, of the ship. And one of the big reasons we wanted to do a film review on this is because, one, the movie's great, and two, is who does the voice of the ship, which is Paul Reubens, aka Pee Wee Herman, who just, rest in peace, passed away recently. And Wingman, at first, didn't realize when he was first watching it as a kid that it was Pee Wee Herman. Tell him about that.
Yeah, because to me, it didn't really sound like him.
Yeah.
I mean, not his most iconic role, which was Pee Wee Herman.
Yeah.
Until he was asking David something about laughter, like why do you laugh? You know, to make yourself feel good. You should try it.
Yeah.
So then he starts, ha ha, ha ha, ha ha. And at that moment, it's like, dude!
Yeah, Pee Wee Herman.
That's Pee Wee Herman laugh.
His show was so great, by the way. I loved Pee Wee's Playhouse. That was such a good show. Which, Pee Wee's Big Adventure, that movie, that was Tim Burton's first real big movie, was.
Oh yeah, wasn't it?
Pee Wee Herman movie. Just side note, trivia there. Easter egg, I guess. But yeah, so then the ship takes
a lot of nostalgia in this film too.
Oh, there's so much. There's so much to talk about. Obviously, you'll see some of these pictures I'm popping up here between us on, with the ship and these things we're talking about. But the little aliens, and he starts to explain to David what happened. He basically they're doing study on Phelan of different species,
different creatures,
and what he does is he travels light speed through time and puts him back at the time he picked him up, but he screwed up
And of course, when David enters the ship, he's got a NASA hat.
Yeah.
And there's that one creature that was on the ship that snatched the hat from him and just eats it.
What was the name of the little guy he keeps?
Puffmary.
I can't remember that for some reason. He's like this little creature. He's like this big, and he's like, I love him. I want one for a pet. If I could get one, I would get one for a pet and keep it. But there's a scene because they're little puppets. You can see like his little wires moving, his little weird hands.
I love that character. I love that little.
He ends up keeping him, doesn't he? He keeps him in the backpack. Yeah. Long story short, that you guys need to watch the movie if you haven't, and if you have watched it, maybe this will spur you to watch it again. He ends up, bringing David back to his family in the present time, right? They're 1986. The 8 years later, they're in the present time. But David decides he'll risk getting his brain scrambled to be taken back
to 1978.
And then obviously it works, because they're not going to scramble his brain and leave him, completely lobotomized.
And there was a lot of iconic songs in this.
So much music. The original soundtrack plus the famous songs. They're Beach Boys.
There's Beach Boys. There's Twisted Sisters actually mentioned.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember the video that David turns to when he's actually trying to watch.
Oh yeah, the music video.
What was he trying to?
He wanted to watch Starsky and Hutch.
Yes.
Yeah, he wanted to watch Starsky and Hutch. And this show had been canceled for years. He talks about the Bee Gees.
Twisted Sister.
I don't know her.
Actually, it's a him.
Actually, it's a them.
Actually, it's a them.
Poor David. The sad thing about, as we get closer to wrapping this up, the sad thing is the kid that played David, what was his name? You've got it there.
David Scott Freeman, played by Joey Kramer.
He ended up, as a lot of these childhood actors have issues, he ended up having a lot of just life issues and ended up in jail. And there is actually a documentary called Flight After the It's something about after the Flight of the Navigator.
Probably put a little thing right here.
Yeah, right here. We'll give it a plug because it's really interesting. And unfortunately, he has made bad decisions and had a bad life. So it's unfortunate to see what's happened to him. But I think he's
like several other actors and actresses.
Yeah, hopefully gets his life on track. So I always do 5 stars as my basis. I give this movie a 5 out of 5 because it holds up and it's good, and it was good when I was a kid. It's good. My kids still enjoy it. If my kids can still watch it today, something that I watched when I was a kid, and they're still entertained by it, that has stood the test of time.
Yes.
And so that deserves...
I think the original How the Grinch Stole Christmas was the same way.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, that stood the test of time as well.
Speaking of cartoon movies like that, the best one in that is the Great Pumpkin with Charlie Brown. That's my all-time favorite Halloween animated feature. My kids, we watch that every year. So, but yeah, I give it a 5 out of 5 stars.
I'll give it a 5.
Well, guys, we're going to get ready to wrap this up. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you hit the thumbs up. Hit that notification button in the bottom. This is our part of our relaunch, and so we're going to continue to bring excellence in entertainment. We got a lot of plans, a lot of fun stuff to do, and so if you're watching this, thank you for sticking with us as we've continued to develop things and taken our hiatus for quite a bit of time to get our lives in order so that we could make excellence in entertainment. In our house now, we got to film the garage.
Just like, subscribe, comment, and for God's sakes, keep it classic, all right?
Thanks for watching. Until we see you guys next time, I'm the Wolf.
I'm the Wingman.
See you later.
Later.